How's this shirt? It's got jellyfish on it, like the Jelly Man as well. Pretty neat, right?
Well, that sounds fine to me.
Hello and welcome to this episode of Have You Seen? Today is another film I saw far too young. Released in 1980, Stanley Kubrick released one of the most iconic horror films of all time, a film that would terrify and inspire generations to come. For me, I didn't see The Shining, obviously I'm talking about The Shining, till at least 1996, so I was about 12 at the time. The Shining was rated 18 when I first saw it, and it has now been lowered to a 15, which is about right, I think. See, my mother, a big reader, like the other one that lives here, big readers, had many Stephen King books around the house. So It's Misery. I knew this was going to be a horror, but it was from the guy that had directed Full Metal Jacket, which I'd seen previously, and thought it couldn't be scary.
You've got a big surprise coming to you.
Saying that, after watching American Werewolf in London, anything by John Landis, I was a little bit worried about. I thought Trading Places might be a horror before seeing the poster and actually watching it. But I mean, by the title though, it could be a horror where people morph into one another, maybe. So here is another brief synopsis, again from IMDb. If you've not seen The Shining or even read the book, basically a family heads to a isolated hotel for the winter where a sinister presence influences the father into violence. At the same time, his psychic son sees horrifying events from the past and from the future. Sounds interesting. Sounds very Stephen King. For me, The Shining is one of the greatest horror movies ever made, and most spooky seasons we will put it on, give it a watch. We actually went to see the 4K upgrade at the cinema a couple of years back now. I hadn't actually seen it on the big screen before then, and well, the 4K upgrade is really good. The grain is still there, but it's not too harsh, and not too much like watching an older like VHS or DVD. The restoration is really good, and if you're a fan of The Shining and don't have a copy, I say get the 4K one, you won't be disappointed. There's a lot of stories of how working on The Shining was a very hard experience for all involved, especially for the late Shelley Duvall, having to go through 127 takes of the baseball bat scene, which actually broke the record for the most retakes of a single movie scene with dialogue. 127.
I'm not gonna hurt you. I'm just gonna bash your brains in. I'm gonna bash them right the fuck in.
Sadly, Shelley Duvall's mental health suffered during filming. It is said the stress caused her to start losing her hair and have anxiety attacks during production. That's not nice. The scene where the blood pours out in the elevators was only actually meant to take 3 takes, but every time the doors opened and the blood would pour out, Stanley Kubrick would say it doesn't look like blood and would cut. It would take 9 days to set up the scene each time, and it actually took about a year to get it right. Thanks for watching this far, and as you're here, why not subscribe so you don't miss out on any of our other videos? The Shining became a cornerstone of pop culture. Filmmakers, critics and fans began analysing its hidden meaning, debating its symbols, and even proposing wild theories like the infamous Kubrick faked the moon landing. And we've all seen that. I mean, well, Danny wears a jumper with a rocket on it, and there's all these theories. One of the most famous myths is that Jack Nicholson, who plays Jack Torrance in the movie, was fed only cheese sandwiches for 2 whole weeks, which he hates. Again, this is just another rumour and probably not true. When The Shining was released, the initial reception was lukewarm. Critics were divided. Some called it slow, confusing, and over-artistic for a horror film. Even Stephen King, the writer of the book, expressed his disappointment, calling it a beautiful car with no engine. Fair enough. But despite its mixed reviews, the movie started gaining momentum. Over time, audiences began to appreciate the film's unsettling atmosphere and haunting visuals. Today, The Shining is hailed as one of the greatest horror films ever made. It's influenced countless directors and continues to haunt audiences over 40 years later. How old is it? 44 years.
Come and play with us, Daddy.
If you've not seen The Shining, again, we recommend the 4K version. You can check it out. Or there's also the sequel, starring Ewan McGregor and Rebecca Ferguson, Dr. Sleep, which was written by Stephen King and follows the story of Danny grown up. It's actually quite good for a sequel. kind of surprising. A lot of sequels aren't that good. If you enjoyed watching this little talk about The Shining, why not watch one of our other videos where I talk about a film I saw far too young, or one of her reactions. And until next time, see you later.